Yeah, we've got our little assistant.
Yes, so our little assistant has been with us for many, many years now, and she has been trying to role model best behavior in our parenting groups. And I remember when we
Oh,
started with the groups, Tineke, we had my son joining us, which felt slightly different. And
yeah, a live model. He was perfect live model.
but he's grown up now. He's a little older, and we welcome Grace into Nurture People.
Yeah, yeah, and she has been a fantastic assistant, and she wears a hat permanently though because her hairstyle is a little bit questionable. Oh, yeah,
Judgment aside.
yeah.
Well, anyhow, today we decided that following up after the sessions yesterday, we'd like to address what it's like when you are with your child rather than doing things to your child. And what is the difference and
Mm.
how that actually helps that relationship growing and nurturing too. Did you want to point something out that happened yesterday or when?
Yeah, so we have a beautiful week as part of Penny Brownlee's training and in our parent support classes, where we talk about the theme is called No Surprises, and it's where we look at what it means to a child when you are in care moments with them. And so this goes from a care moment is how you will lift a baby and how you will put your baby down, how you will speak to them as you are doing things that are necessary to help them, obviously, to be alive. And so, how is it that you come to these moments? And culturally, care moments have just been in the past really seen as things that just have to be done and over and done with. And what we're really aware of now in so much research with attachment, attachment theories and relationship being the key, is that these moments are precious golden moments with your children, and they are moments where you are making beautiful impressions going forward for them in the way that they are viewing the world and their bodies, their self-awareness and the protection that they have going forward for themselves. So you're setting it up right here. And Grace yesterday was helping me to demonstrate that. And one of the exercises that we do is a very simple one, but it's a really big one with babies, Jana, because let's face it, there's always a lot of mucus, right?
Yes.
There's just a lot of stuff that ends up coming out, all sorts of the ends of your baby, right? But the snotty nose, as their immune systems develop and as they go through teething and things, is a biggie, right? And so, how is it that you come to blow your child's nose?
Mm.
So, I'm going to give you a little demonstration here. And I want you to think back and see if you can remember what it was like to have. You might not remember your nose being blown, but there might be something that was done to you rather than with you. And just think about that for a moment and reflect on that, because that will definitely help you to understand what's happening here. Grace, I see that you've got so much snot running down your nose right now. Oh my gosh, you're even licking it. You really need to have your nose wiped, don't you? Yeah. Well, I've got this tissue here and I'm going to help you. Are you ready? Oh, you're coming forward, you're ready? Okay, there we go. Yeah, how does that feel? Yeah. All better? Okay. So, uh, yeah,
Thank you for role
how does
modeling.
that how does that feel for everyone?
I think it's an interesting one as well when you're using a doll rather than, when you're actually with a lovely human being. But, the reason why we also talk about the importance, why is it so significant, right? Simple things like this. It's because they happen every day and so often, just like you said. And every touch will leave an impression. And if you're being touched gently, you're more likely to anticipate it next time as well and even participate in it, just like you said, right? I remember when we were at a learning center as well, and also, with our children, there's just that lovely gesture when they really lean towards you because they are partnering up with you. They know what is happening and they're actually saying, yes, I trust you because I know that your hands will touch my body in a respectful way, right? And that is why we talk about it so much. Like you said, those are the golden moments, like really truly are. And those are the pillars for building relationship when it comes to touching and showing that respect as well. Because when I even consider, goodness, I haven't had a massage for a long time. Have you, Tineke?
No, it has been a while.
It's been a very, very long time. But anything,
Osteo appointment, that was
osteo,
good.
yeah, osteopathy, that's a good example. But your body is very precious in a way. And, when you're allowing someone else to come into your space, that is already showing trust. So that person really needs to be also deserving of that trust for that relationship to flourish. But if you experience a touch that's very unpleasant, your body is more likely to go into a withdrawal or protection mode as well. And that is when we often see children running for dear life when they need help with their noses. Or
Yeah,
even
or just the like
just
turning away. Yeah. And I remember the difference. I remember when children would come and, initially they were very used to just having it done without any warning, and they would turn away and run away. But it was really interesting as the trust grew that they would stop and they would just lift their noses in readiness. And then what was so beautiful was watching other children, start to do those care moments for others. So they would actually go and grab a tissue and do the same thing, show the tissue, and then help them. There was a lot of hand washing that had to go on after that, but it was just that lovely, just the modeling that was happening, and then what that was meaning down the line for the children and how they would actually assist each other and nurse each other in certain things as well.
Really good example, Tineke, and I still remember that. But I'm also going to tap into what if a child is perhaps sensory sensitive, right? So then they are needing a little bit more time. Oops. Oh, I'm so sorry. Here you go on high demand today.
Oh, that's a pretty sound. Pop Grace down. Okay.
These children, it's interesting when we say these children, any child, children who are more sensitive to touch or any experiences, they need more time. And the time to also earn that trust will take longer. So again, that slowing down is the best formula, but also offering that tissue. Would you like to do it yourself instead? Or I can help you right now. And I remember as well, sometimes even sitting them in the lap if they allow you to, and just going, here it is. And I will wait for you. I will wait until you are ready. And it
Yeah,
might take a
giving
while.
them that time. Hey, yeah, absolutely.
Another thing to oh, sorry.
I was just going to say, you're right, as they head into toddlerhood, then the independence is growing and they want to do that for themselves. But you're much more likely to have them still allow you to assist them, like so they'll do a certain amount, like say it's wiping their face after a meal with a nice warm flannel, and then at the end of it, can I just help you get this side of your face? There's still a bit more food here, and you're more likely to if you've been doing with right from the start, to have them allow you to still participate.
And if they still don't, and there's a real sensitivity, which is, part of your child, consider smell. Consider smell of that cloth, consider temperature of that cloth, consider texture of that cloth, consider all those aspects, and perhaps even experience it yourself, because some of them might be very sensitive to the temperature, some of them might be very sensitive to textures or the smell. I know that my son is really sensitive to smell, and he has been from a get-go. So that's an important
Yeah,
aspect. Yeah.
yeah, and my son as well with cloth like silk. He's like, "Oh, are you wearing that again?" There's something about silk for him that is just too much. So it's really interesting. Hey, so picking up on those reactions as well.
Yeah. Every reaction and every behavior is a communication.
Mm.
Um, Even the behavior that's not desirable, it is always communication, and there's always a trigger. Um,
Yeah.
because I do not believe anyone who tells me that there is no trigger. There always is a trigger. There is always a reason why child is behaving a certain way. And I think what it comes down to is really us sharpening our observation skills, our noticing, and really trying to sort of tune in to the life of that child and go, okay, there's something that's really bothering you. Can you help me here? And try different things.
Yeah.
Because it can be harder for these parents and these children to connect, and it can be frustrating. But we also talked about what happens if children who have a certain differences and possibly are neurodiverse, what happens if they've been touched beautifully all their lives, gently, but their responses and reactions are different? Because I know we often talk about, imitation, imitation, imitation.
Mm.
And then, you've given your child all this beautiful environment and love and warmth and everything, and all of a sudden the responses are very different. It can be very a vulnerable feeling. It can be quite a tricky one because they're also exposed too, and quite often exposed to a lot of judgment. So that's just something to consider, that some children do experience all sorts of emotions quite strongly. And speaking to many medical professionals currently as well, they're just confirming to me how important it is to validate every child's feelings. You cannot ask a child to feel differently if they just don't.
Yeah.
Everyone feels the way they do for a reason. And sometimes even just going, okay, this is tough for you. I can see it. It's that frustration that's building up, I wonder. I think it's important to give our children words for emotions too. I've been challenged on that over the last couple of years quite significantly, and sort of try to review it. Sort of looking into it and saying, actually, but if you give them the names for the emotions, you're waking them a bit too early. You don't know that emotion. And that's correct. You don't know. But you can try and give them words. I wonder if that's frustration building up. I wonder if you need to go for a walk, or I wonder what we can do to help you now. But even just processing and validating it's okay that you're feeling that way might stop certain behavior happening. And
Yeah, because
yeah.
sorry, that takes me back to some of the learning I did with listening to the Newfeld Institute, and how they were talking about a lot of research they were doing on emotions and feelings, and like it's like, are emotions and feelings the same thing? And it's like what they were explaining is that the emotions are what is the physical response in the body, and then the feelings are what you do with it,
Mm,
right? So there's a response that happens, and then there's an action,
mhm,
and an expression of what is happening physically.
mhm.
So I don't know if that sort of helps some understanding as well, because it did for me.
It did for you. And that expression could be, all kind of expression.
Mm.
And when it's negative, or there is a threat or danger to other people or that particular child, it's learning how to redirect it. But it doesn't take just one person, it has to be from every environment that child is in. And I think that's really important to realize, is that it's not just that family unit that needs to make that difference, it's everyone around. It truly is that village of people around every child. It's like that onion and the layering and just wrapping that child.
Yeah. And we
Mm.
were talking last week about that around, that sort of compassion and really extending your understanding around this and holding the whānau as well. And that sort of support that's needed because it can be very challenging when, like you say, you're coming with that respectful, gentle approach, but the reaction from your child might be completely the opposite, and you actually feel physically vulnerable.
Mhm.
You feel extremely stressed because you're very worried about your child in the environment. So yeah, it definitely is something like you say where that village needs to wrap around families. Yeah.
And a lot of understanding and acceptance, Tineke, because I'm also realizing, having some new experiences as they are growing and moving forward, is that the attitude of people is so incredibly important. It truly is. If someone has already made up their mind that this child is just not right or misbehaving, or that behavior, it's not just, there's no reason for it, or there's no trigger, that is what a big issue already is.
Mhm.
That is the obstacle towards that trust in a relationship. And it is more likely that this relationship is not healthy and really needs support and growth for both of the people involved in it, the child and an adult, to really thrive eventually. And it's funny because, I often think about Penny. I don't know if she listens to us, but if you do, Penny, we do. I do often think about you lately, and sometimes you trigger me a little bit.
Oh, that's good. She'll be happy about that.
There are a few questions I have, but I just lost my thought for a second. Yes, I remember, with all these sessions with Penny Brownlee, and she said that, these children who really, really trigger you and bring many, many challenges are your biggest teachers, because they bring a lot of insecurities in you too. And they bring things to the surface that maybe you're afraid to even open up, or maybe you think you actually don't have anything to open up. And that's where a big problem already is. If you reach that point, if you think that you're doing everything right, but this child isn't, well, we have a problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then the triggers can also for you come from your own childhood experiences, right? And so often that's one of the things that we were also discussing yesterday in the classes. What is it what were the impressions that were made on you in your childhood that then can also contribute as triggers for you going forward in your own parenting, and what's coming up for you that is pushing a button,
Mhm.
and is it more about you needing to also reflect on that and consciously kind of process that as well alongside what is happening for the child and their response as well? So yeah, like working out your place in that
Mhm.
is can be quite an interesting uncovering. And also, especially you have partners as well. They have also had very different experiences, and so I know that I was really encouraging families to really unpack that so that you can understand each other going forward, and then make agreements together about how you're going to speak, how you're going to come to the child, how you're going to treat them. Because one of you wiping their face in this, sort of slowing down, gentle, sort of respectful manner, and one of you just coming and, just uh, the child is experiencing two very different ways of caring, and so it's conflicting, but it's also then that, not that it's going to null and void what you're trying to do as opposed to what your partner does, but definitely having that solid foundation of this is the way we do it together is really great for the child and great for you and your relationship as well, because you feel like you're part of the team together.
Mm.
And I've had a lot of mothers say, because they, let's face it, they definitely are the ones that do a lot more of the research. And they're really, that statistically you see a lot of that. Hey, mums online looking for answers and the way that they want to come to parenting. And so when they're sharing that knowledge uh, with their partners, I think it can be seen as judgment. And I just really, yeah, encourage you to come open-minded with this as well, and to hear each other in this, because it can make a really big difference day to day in your understanding of your child, and the compassion that you come with, and the knowledge that you have from your own past that can then, in a way, be healed and change that next generation of parenting, and how that child then will take that further
Mm.
down the line into new generations.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, let's just leave everyone with not to. And
Yeah.
also take it easy as well. I can talk from my own experience, and maybe yours too, Tineke, that also being a parent in the current climate of it, what is happening right now everywhere in New Zealand and around the world too, as not too straightforward and not too easy. And I know that many families are just getting by. And be gentle on yourselves, be really forgiving as well, because there can be a lot of guilt that creeps up. And there's just no perfect parenting. We're all trying our best, we really truly are. But if we can offer you some maybe useful ways of finding that connection through everyday experiences, let it be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is it. Like, some of, the parents, they'll say, oh my gosh, I've never thought about it that way. Of course, that's the way I'd want my nose blown. But don't hold on to that guilt. Like, what now, and what you knew before, you're doing the best with the information you had, and you just move forward. And like you say, Jana, be gentle, be kind to yourselves in this. This is a big job, and these are definitely trying times as well. So, yeah, give yourself a wee pat on the back, a wee celebration, a Friday celebration of I am awesome parent.
I'm a good enough parent, and I just
Yeah,
get my job the best I can,
yeah,
good enough I can, and that's all that counts. There's that love and caring, right? And
yeah,
real experiences.
absolutely. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Well, lovely to see you, Tineke. If you are here with us, anyone else, please let us know. It's always nice to know that someone's joined us.
Take care, everyone. Ka kite.
Akita.